taking a little bit to get in.
They didn't get the memo.
Yeah. Connection's good. Looks like the volume's good. Okay, I'm Big D. Welcome to my show, The Boiling Point. Today is March 2nd, 2024. Please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification for all so you get all the updates in the future. Usually every Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you'd like to help the show, you can find the how-tos in the description below. You just need a PayPal account. And please welcome John to the show. He's been a reoccurring guest on the show.
Hi, everyone.
Let's see. Today is going to be about banks, but mostly the Brics nations. Before we get to the show, John, would you like to say anything?
Well, the things that are going on in this world today, especially with the Brics and all, I find it very interesting, especially how, it's kind of like bringing countries and hemispheres and stuff together. It's something that we've never seen before. It's very interesting because it seems like a fundamental thing that people from different countries can agree on, that you just can't print money and spend it. It has to be backed by something. It has to mean something. So this is a very interesting subject.
So I'm going to share a couple things that isn't about the Brics, but I think is something that if you haven't heard it, it's probably going to shock you a little bit.
Officials have begun a major investigation into whether someone or many people benefited financially from the evil done to the country last Tuesday. Not long before the attacks occurred, there were some financial transactions in the stock market that may indicate knowledge of the attack before it began.
This could very well be insider trading at the worst, most horrific, most evil you've ever seen in your entire life.
One example, United Airlines. The Thursday before the attack, more than 2,000 contracts betting that the stock would go down were purchased. 90 times more in one day than in 3 weeks. When the markets reopened, United stock dropped. The price of the contracts soared, and someone may have made a lot of money fast.
$180,000 turns into $2.4 million when that plane hits the World Trade Center.
Same story with American Airlines.
That's a five-fold increase in the value of what was a $337,000 trade on Monday.
All of a sudden becomes what?
$1.8 million.
There's much more, including an extraordinarily high number of bets against Morgan Stanley and Marsh & McLennan, two of the World Trade Center's biggest tenants.
Could this be a coincidence? This would be one of the most extraordinary coincidences in the history of mankind if it was a coincidence.
So the Secretary of the Treasury said today of this investigation, you got to go through 10 veils before you get to the real source. Federal officials.
That to me, I never heard before. This was something that was sent by one of the fans of the show. And I'm really shocked that I did not see this before.
Yeah, neither did I.
I think this is definitely something that it could change a lot of different things. When's the last time you've seen a news report like this that gave this type of detail about something that maybe someone could have been doing? Doesn't really matter on Democratic side or Republicans or however you want to look at it. This is something that usually benefited one of the sides. What I'm trying to say is, and then the other side, not so much. And usually the media is on the Democratic side. So that's why I say this is something that kind of caught me off guard, especially the type of coverage that it had. Got one more, and then we'll get right into it, Joe. I like this one because it makes you think about under the way that we've been screwed.
Boys back in the Midwest. Right. Governments, federal, state, and local, were only taking about 15 cents out of every dollar earned. Today, they're taking almost half of every dollar earned in the United States. And most people don't realize it because the taxes are hidden in the so-called business taxes. You know, the politician that stands up and yells, "Oh, let's save the little man, let's tax business," and everybody else hooray. They haven't figured out that every tax on business is just a part of the cost of production. And the customer winds up paying it when he buys the product. It's a hidden sales tax. There's 116 of them in the suit of clothes that each one is. Right? When you and I were boys.
I never thought of that either.
Yeah.
And that was what, in mid 80s when he probably was on that show? Or maybe even before he became president. And that was definitely earlier than maybe the late 70s, early 80s, if he was president at that time. I'm not sure, but you don't see many presidents going on that type of show. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But how many hidden taxes? Can you even think about it when they're talking about this at in Congress about, well, we're not going to tax the working man, we're going to tax the businesses. Well, now you see what's going to happen. They're fine with the multi-billionaires and it could be a trillionaire pretty soon when you think about Musk or Bezos. But think about what's going to happen when those owners get taxed. And it's not just the owners, it's their businesses. So the businesses are going to be passing it along to you. You might think you get a good deal on Amazon, but the more they tax them, the more that increases. And we already are not going anywhere near to the local store as much as we used to buy clothes, to buy shoes, to buy. Now we're doing online cars. The brick and mortar, that stuff is going away. So what happens when there is no brick and mortar for any kind of competition for the online? They're going to raise their prices because now their competition is just someone else online. And now you're going to have to be paying more and more because of the big man needing to be taxed even more. But that's that ghost tax that he's talking about.
It's everywhere.
So about the Brics nations. Many countries have been wanting to be part of this for many years, but it was something that I don't think for the first 10 maybe or more years that the BRICS, which are Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, I think they were wanting anybody to join. But within the last few years, you're seeing that more and more have been wanting to, but finding out that there are qualifications that they haven't been able to meet. So it took a little bit for these countries to get to that level. Being some of the, Iraq, Iran, some of the Middle Eastern type countries, Egypt, pretty much any country that is, even third world countries. They're not being able to make it yet, but they have applied and they've found out what is required. One, I believe they have to be gold backed or some type of precious metal. Maybe even like South Africa has diamonds. They have to have something, and also a specific type, a GDP they have to bring along with them. Right now, it looks like the BRICS nations have over 50% of the world GDP in just the select few countries that are involved. So again, you have to bring something to the table. So it looks like South Africa says countries are wanting to be part of the BRICS group, but Russia, it looks like Russia is taking leadership. Some people that I've been discussing about the BRICS nation with, and they talk about, well, I don't think the United States should be a follower. They should be a leader. And I agree. But when you have a de-dollarization going on with your own country, people think the United States, at least people that I know, they believe United States is still number one. We're nothing anymore. De-dollarization has been going on for a couple of years. I believe Russia was the very first one that said we're no longer going to accept the US dollar for our commodities, mostly the oil that we were getting from them. Now that makes it to a little difficult when some of the countries, they might not have gold, but Russia says you can use certain currencies if you don't have gold, but they prefer gold. Now let's see. Nearly 36 countries are seeking entry into the China and Russia-backed BRICS economic group. And I say that China and Russia because they're mainly the top dogs. India and South Africa really aren't that much further behind. But again, it looks like Russia is going to be the leader. Now, South Africa said Wednesday, after weeks, the body expanded its membership for the first time in more than a decade. 34 countries have submitted an expression of interest in joining the bloc of major emerging economies. South Africa Foreign Minister Naledi Pandor, he stated that without naming the nations, this is what's going on. Russia was accepting those applications after assuming chairmaning of the group this year, and will be the first member to oversee the body since it significantly expanded its global footprint at the start of this year, when Iran, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Ethiopia, and Egypt formally joined. You know, this is something that I believe, and there's nothing that I've seen that says this is the truth. So it's only what I believe. That the BRICS nations is, I'm going to say, the basis for the quantum financial system. Jazara. I guess we're going to have to see, but a lot of people that I have been talking with have kind of felt the same way. Now, the growing membership is widely viewed as a win for China and Russia. Now, BRICS, which since 2011 has been made up of Russia, India, China, South Africa, roughly positioning itself as the global South's answer to the group of more or less the G7, the major developing economies. China has been a key driver of the expansion as leader Xi Jinping pushes an alternative world order, forging closer partnership with the key global players with Russia to the Middle East and strengthening international bodies where Beijing holds away. The expansion and continued interest from dozens more countries are also a boon for Russia, which has been shunned economically and diplomatically by the West following its invasion of Ukraine. That's where it's a little difficult for me to understand how they are considered the leader, because there's a lot of countries that are against Russia for many reasons. United States blames Russia for anything that goes wrong, anything at all. Now, the expansion, let's see. Moscow positions as chair will be a key opportunity for Russia's president, Vladimir Putin, to push back against the isolation and portray himself as a key player on the board, this diplomatic stage. As world leaders typically travel to the host nation for an annual summit. Last year, all member state leaders, besides Putin, gathered in person in Johannesburg. The Russian president, who has an international criminal court warrant out for his arrest, linked to alleged war crimes in Ukraine. Now, this year's event is expected to take place in October in the southwest Russian city of Kazan. Earlier this year, Putin encourages representatives of all countries interested in cooperating with an organization to take part in events and said Russia looked forward to working productively with all countries in the Brics orbit. The group took shape as a summit level gathered between Brazil, Russia, India, China in 2009 and expanded to include South Africa 2 years later. 6 new BRICS nations were invited during the 2023 summit last August. Among those invited, only Argentina declined to join, following the election of a new far-right administration. An expansion adds the muscle of major oil production, Gulf economies to the body, and comes as both Russia and China have bolstered their relationship with sanctions that hit Iran last year. Beijing played a part brokering the restoration of ties between longtime rivals Saudi Arabia and Iran. The new cohort of countries join as BRICS push towards more diplomatic and financial coordination, including reform of the United Nations Security Council and a move away from the United States dollar, which dominated trade systems. Ministers were working to develop the use of local currencies for payments between member states and international payment platforms to redress what was regarded as a rather unfair and costly payment system. South Africa's Pandora said on Wednesday. I think the United States has done a lot of, I think, which could be considered illegal practices in the past. pushing most countries to use the dollar for any of their oil or commodities. And by doing so, they became an ally of the United States. We've had countries that we said we would protect in invasion or something that they couldn't handle militarily, just as long as they accept the US dollar only for their oil, or pretty much the oil is what comes up when I research this. And then back during the Gulf War, many people have come out and came out with the proof. And if you want to look that up, I could probably get some more details and put it out there. But proof that the reason why we went into Iraq for the Gulf War wasn't because we believed that they had bombs of destruction, atomic weapons, or nuclear weapons, whatever you want to call them. They believed it was, or they state they know it's because they stopped or wanted to stop using the US dollar for any type of trade, especially for their oil. Look at what they found. The Iraqi dinar at the time was probably one of the highest levels of currency in the world. It was worth more than the US dollar by 3 times as much. But when they moved in on Iraq and started the war, they were showing it was because of the invasion of Kuwait, because of weapons of mass destruction. Was there something going on between Iraq and Kuwait? Yes. Everybody saw that. Were we seeing what was really going on? I'm going to say we saw a lot of what was really going on. I do believe that. But did that give us the right to go in and protect Kuwait? Because again, Kuwait, who probably right now has the #1 currency in the world. Did we help them? Are they accepting only the US dollar? I don't think so. So I think aligning everything up with all of these countries, and it's a possibility there's countries that have not allowed the Brics nations to state that they are part of this. And the reason why I say that is for the quantum financial system and the discussion of Nazara Jazara being soon. And there were supposed to be over 200 countries involved with the quantum financial system, or Nazara, Jazara, RV, however you want to talk about it. So if there's not enough of these countries involved or linked to it, could it actually be going forward as soon as we believe it could be? Or at least that we're being told by the gurus.
It's interesting to say, you have to question sometimes, is the U.S. involvement in foreign countries' affairs sometimes, is it beneficial or is it to control something else?
Yeah, it definitely looks like
is it a good cause sometimes, or I'm sure they do a good cause too, but I mean, is sometimes getting involved in someone else's business, should we be there at all?
Yeah, exactly.
And is it always about money or control? I don't know.
So
they
the
sometimes, excuse me, sometimes they say like U.S. interest in a place. Well, what exactly is the U.S. interest in Ukraine? Tell me what that is. I don't know what that is.
yeah, we just
What's so important?
or is it something about the president of Ukraine is gonna say something that they would consider that a secret?
Mhm.
Like, I'm going to tell everybody if you don't give me money.
Hey,
Is it those third and fourth yachts and homes all around the world? Are those real? Is he really buying all these things? Someone who was considered a comedian only years ago,
right.
and now he's running a country. How's that happen?
It's amazing.
Well, we had an actor that turned politician, that turned president. And Reagan. Anything's possible.
Right. Well, he didn't. Well, if you think of it that way, he didn't go from an actor straight up to presidency. At least he was a governor. This guy goes from comedian to
Yeah,
running the whole country.
but who can we put in there that we can control?
Yeah, how about that funny guy down at the bar? Let's
Give,
get
give
him.
him a bunch of money.
Yeah, give him a yacht.
Yeah,
Be all right.
yeah. It looks like that to me. I mean, look what happened with Gaddafi.
Oh my God, I can't believe you mentioned Gaddafi.
They say that it's very similar to what happened in Iraq. He's
Mhm.
decided I'm not going to be part of this central banking or having to accept American dollar only for our oil, and he protested against it, and see what happened to him, and it wasn't a good thing for him. But
Well, Big D, since you brought up Gaddafi, that's kind of a good lead into what I was going to speak about. If we want to sidetrack for a little bit, if you don't mind, can you hear me?
no, we're good.
Um, just
It's going
mentioned
in and
Libya.
out a little bit.
What's that? I don't hear you no more.
Your your uh
Too loud?
your audio is going in and out.
So is yours.
Yeah, it's going in and out. Oh, really? Let's see. Excellent. I have excellent connection.
Let me see what I have.
Um,
I have 10, 10, 10 out of 10. It's probably just a
okay, you're
glitch.
good now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what I was going to say is, since you mentioned Libya, uh, I was going to go when I was looking up things for bricks and precious metals and banks and what's going on with these different countries and who's joining and who's not interested and all that stuff. Um, I kind of ran into a couple things, and it's old news, but some of it is not well known news, and I'm just wondering if it ties into anything that's going on today. And I'll back up a little bit. First, I want to talk about Haiti. Now we're going back a little bit. Um, let's start off in the United States. Let's go to Arkansas. How about that? Couple in Arkansas. Let's
Yeah.
just call them Bill and what's her name? Hillary. Oh yeah, Hillary.
Hillary.
Let, let,
Hillary.
let's let's pick them two. That's a good name to start. Well, they vacationed or whatever they did in Haiti, and the interesting about it that I found interesting is they fell in love with the place, and they have such big hearts. They wanted to help everyone there, so they started all kinds of things. Little foundation. I don't. I forget what they called that one. But anyway, to make a long story short, um, you got to go back to like the earthquake in Haiti. It was a disaster area, and there was so many things going on in that country prior to that. I mean, it's a very poor country, um, and different organizations and foundations and stuff were raising money, and different governments were also donating money and for the efforts, to rebuild, um, send supplies, food to help the people out down there. Just the U.S. alone, the government, of course, the taxpayers, rounded up a nice sum of money, and we still pay them, I think, anyhow, every year, some type of money, some kind of support money. There was also a tax donations going on back then during the earthquake, after the earthquake. Uh, the Clintons were involved in a lot of it. It's a well-known fact now that the Haitians there, they don't care about the Clintons very much, and I guess I guess they have the right to say so, because a lot of money, millions and actually billions, was raised after that earthquake. Now the interesting thing about that is there was, like I said, governments, there was tax donations, there was a lot of nonprofit organizations that raised money, lots of them. Some you heard of, some you might respect or think are good, some you never heard of. Corporations did it. It came from industry. I'm talking billions of dollars. Now, after that time, not a hell of a lot got done down Haiti. They went through a really rough time, and they're still poor. It's still poor. The point I'm trying to make here is, when they did the record keeping from all these companies and organizations and how much money was raised, some of them, most of them, did report how much they raised, but it didn't say how much they spent. And most of the ones that did report how much they spent was, like, say they raised $10 million. They might have spent $1 million of it. And no one ever asked, and if they were asked about where the rest of the money was, there was no records of it, no questions asked. And this is going for like 60 some different organizations. A lot of money was raised, but not a lot of money was given, ever made it to Haiti. Now, why am I talking about Haiti? Besides, the efforts of rebuilding and all that never really took place, even to this day. There's a story that came up when I was doing this research to look into Brics and all that stuff, stating that, now I don't know, as far as I could tell, it's factual, but there's some gray areas in the story, that through the Clinton Foundation or something of that nature, there was a hotel built down in Haiti, and the idea was we needed a place for all the workers that were going to help down there to stay while they're rebuilding the country. So through the Clinton Foundation and Bill Clinton as president, they built this place, but still none of the work got done. Very little. They might have like rebuilt a church or rebuilt a school, but people were still living in shanty houses, and they had no electricity, no running water, blah, blah. And it's probably still like that today, or very little done. The thing that I found interesting, within that story, I heard that there was a lot of land down there. And now Haiti's never really known for any kind of precious metals or anything. It's not till the last 10, 15 years, which was right around after that earthquake and stuff. So the story goes that Hillary's brother, and I really never knew she had a brother, but anyhow.
I didn't either.
Now, so I'm not even sure if she has a brother, but that's besides the point. In other words, got a sweetheart deal on a lot of land in Haiti. Okay, this land was destined to get mined. Okay, in an area where it's not known for gold, silver, copper, or any kind of precious metal. All of a sudden, they're finding gold, silver in there after this earthquake, and everyone's bidding to get land over there and mining rights, and but the political scene is so bad and everything that I don't think everything really took off. But somehow Hillary's brother if she really does have a brother, got a sweetheart deal on this land, and mining began. Is that true? Is that still going on now? Has it changed? I'm going back 10, 12 years. You got to understand, we're going back to like 2010, I think, the earthquake, and all this funding and all happened after the earthquake. So that's kind of interesting in itself. A place that never was mined or known about precious metals. I mean, we are talking about Brics and countries and stuff like that. They have to have something to offer. Haiti's extremely poor, no economy, barely any infrastructure. Think about it. Now I'm going to go off the rails a little bit. Let's go to Libya and Gaddafi. Right after all that, or during that, when Hillary was Secretary of State, that's when that whole Libya thing went down. Now, rumor has it, based on what I've read, is that Gaddafi, now for me, Gaddafi was always a little nuts. I mean, I used to like enjoy watching him speak at these international events because he would just go off the rails. And I don't know if have you ever seen him speak at one of these things, but he was just crazy. The guy was absolutely a nut job. However, he had this idea, supposedly, that he was going to have some kind of like water system so that we could use, so they could took care of lands that are not farmable in Africa and stuff. It was supposed to be a big thing for an economy boost and growing crops and all this stuff. And the other thing that he was also going to do, he had lots of gold. He wanted to base his currency off of that gold. Now, you got to understand, Hillary was Secretary of State, and that's when they, the whole thing with him getting executed or killed, whatever, and all the takeover. The thing is, that gold like vanished. No one knows where that gold went. So at the same time, you got the Haiti thing going on with the gold mining that never had gold and precious metals, and the thing going on over at Libya and that gold disappearing. So I'm wondering if the two had something to do with each other. It's just interesting to think. Now you're probably saying, all right, what's that got to do with Brics and banking and all? Well, did you ever hear that saying, future proofs past? I know it's a cute thing, but if you believe in that, maybe there's some truth to it. And you can see the lies and the deceit, and even with the donation part of it. Like, where'd all them billions of dollars go? What's going on with that? Is it about gold? Was it about gold? Was it about laundering gold from another country? Hey, let's just make Haiti all of a sudden a mining place, but you're taking gold from another country and doing away with their leader. Regardless of what you think of Gaddafi, he was like the glue of that part of that area, even though he was nuts. But you know what I mean. He was crazy, and he was, like really eccentric. But it's interesting. But he really did at least have some things together, and they done them in. So, what's the connection? Is there a connection? Is there a connection to what's going on today as far as gold and countries and Brics? Like what are these countries that don't have resources that want to join? What are they going to contribute if they have nothing? Well, we're just going to forget about them people. You know what I mean? There's got to be something. You follow me?
Hoping. I hope it's you bring peace,
Mhm.
and that would be your contribution.
Right.
No talk about war. I guess with the quantum financial system, one of the things is peace. Peace for 100 years, or
right.
And if they step up but how is Iran and some of the other countries that have been discussing with the Brics nations, who are known for things like that? But maybe it's time where they've decided that they're no longer going to be part of that. But Iran is still active. I don't care what anybody said. At least it doesn't look like it to me that they're ready for peace.
Yeah, exactly. That makes my point. Like, what if they don't join? Say Brics takes off big time, and it's 80-90% of the world's trading and whatever. I mean, them other countries that are left out are like they're like on their own. They're like an island in the middle of nowhere. How could they even exist? I mean, you would think after it gets to a certain point that you would have to join. You would have to say, okay, I'm not going to fight no more. I would have to because my people are starving. You would have to say something because you're going to be left alone. I don't know how you're going to survive, especially like in
True.
Iran. How's
Yeah.
that possible? You know?
I think right now they have to show the numbers. You know, the over 50% GDP, world GDP. I think that they're allowing others, but not using them as a marketing ploy or something. You know,
Right. I agree. Yeah, it's just
I
like a
don't think they're
fraud.
going to leave them. Yeah, I don't think they'd leave them if it's a good country. Meaning, you know,
Right. I mean, because if you want peace, if you're fighting for peace, I mean, not fighting for peace. If you're saying you have to be peaceful if you're going to join this, that also would mean, I would guess, well, no one should be starving in this day and time. There should be no poverty, or people should be at least out of poverty and having their everyday means being met because the difference of whatever economy, the battle between the rich and the poor nations, blah blah blah. In this time of day, there should be no one without fresh water and food, and shouldn't have to be worrying about war and stuff. So I kind of get the concept of Brics, but it's just like there comes a time if it gets so powerful, these other nations, they're going to have to join. They're going to be forced into join, or they're going to go extinct. You know what I
yeah.
mean? At some point.
I mean, you know, when United States is the world police right now, then they are also the world donator when it comes to our money.
Exactly.
I don't think that donation is going to happen or going to continue when it comes to shitty countries like Ukraine, or the ones that say they need all this help, and then the money we're supposed to donate goes to something other than, and there's no accountability of
No
where that
accountability.
money goes.
Exactly.
And then we're still, instead of, well, they need more munitions, and then we're not only giving them money, we're also giving them the munitions. So where's the money going? It's got to be going to corruption.
Exactly.
Is it? I don't know, but I mean, usually things add up. In my head, it'll be like, okay, this was here, this was here, this is here. Okay, that's 2 + 2 is 4, kind of thing. Then when you look at, you got a new home in Miami for, the president of Ukraine, and he's being very vocal about it. What's going on? What he's accomplished in his short tenure as a president of Ukraine, how many homes he's got, and he's in front of another yacht, another $50 million yacht. It's just, come on. If this is all true, that's one thing. But why isn't? Then I go back to some of the earlier things I showed on the show today, where the media, how they dig deep and they discuss what's going on. We don't have that anymore. Otherwise, we might know what's really going on with Ukraine.
That's it. I agree with you. We need accountability. That's it.
So,
we're a generous nation, and we'll help people out. But I mean, this just spending and corruption and no accountability where the money's going, and then like for example, that's why I brought up Haiti. All this help from all over the place, and nothing or little has been done there. And now all of a sudden there's gold and silver in them hills. Come on, something's weird about that.
Yeah, we definitely need to look into that as well. I'm going to start looking into that myself. I
It's just
forgot all
crazy.
about here.
Same with the Libya thing. Like, okay, maybe back then that sounded crazy, gold back, and let's get the agriculture and all the surrounding area in Africa, everything working good, and then then they do them in. they do someone in like that, you know. And now that's what we're talking about. You know, we're talking about precious metals backing up. You can't just keep printing money. You know what I mean? We're talking about, well, if you join us, you can't fight against each other, you know, and we'll all help each other out and everyone will get fed and everything will be great. You know, you can't have that and then still have war. You can't be doing that and still fund war. It's crazy.
I do agree with that as well. So looks like the BRICS nation is about ready to launch a single currency similar to the euro. Is it a possibility in the near future? I'm not sure though. Let's see what they say. Now, the BRICS alliance is looking to work on an alternative currency to take on the U.S. dollar. The bloc is working on several options to end dependency on the U.S. dollar and promote local currencies for global trade. Now, already, the beginning of this year, Iraq has come out and said they are no longer going to allow their citizens to use the U.S. dollar. Well, how are they going to get around that? And that would be if they revalue their currency. That's how it's going to work for Iraq. Because right now, if someone says, "Hey, I need a new TV," and they're going to go and buy a new 60-inch TV, most Iraqians have that type of money to splurge on that kind of an item for themselves? I don't know. But if they were to use the value of their currency as of today, it would be about $1,500,000 dinar to buy an average $1,500 TV, roughly. Where if they were to do that, I think the average is about a $25,000 dinar note, right? So that's quite a few dollars that you got to carry into the store. You definitely don't want to get robbed. So how do you do that? Maybe have a few people help you out, walk into the store, walk you out with your new TV. But they're already they already have printed $20, $50 dinars. Good indication that something is about to happen. You don't print something that is probably worthless in that value of whether it be 1,300 dinar versus the dollar, whatever scenario. So unless you're ready to RV, that's why I believe the reevaluation of the world is about to happen. And they state that Iraq is the leader that's going to start this off or kick it off. Let's just hope that is true. The alliance is also convincing other developing countries to stop relying on the U.S. dollar and promote local currencies instead. Another one was, I believe it was Kenya, that came out and said, we are no longer going to allow, and I'm not sure if they made it a law yet. Some people state it was, and I even brought it onto the show one time and talked about that. The information that I had was they're going to use it after a certain date and it's going to be illegal. Will they be fined? I'm not exactly sure, but they might consider it a black market transaction. Do you know how many sectors in the United States will be affected if the BRICS ditches the dollar for trade? Reports are doing the rounds that BRICS is considering a single unit currency similar to the euro to challenge the U.S. dollar. I don't know why they say challenge the U.S. dollar, because some other currencies are, like I said, much higher than what the U.S. dollar is. And now that many countries are stating that, we're not taking it any longer, we're not going to allow it any longer. It's got to be almost 3 years now since Russia has stated that they won't accept it for their commodities, especially oil. The Russian's Minister of Finance, Anton Siluanov, said that BRICS members are looking at the possibility of a common unit of account and currency, similar to the euro. He also states that the currency could work as an alternative to the US dollar and can be used to denote the cost of some commodities. This can be a unit of account for the BRICS member countries, not a single currency like the euro, for an alternative to the dollar, in which the cost of commodity deliveries can be denoted, as well as the benchmark for some goods, so as not to depend on a single currency or an issuing center that issues banknotes in a no one knows how manner. This is what he says. The policies could hamper the West and the US dollar, as they might give prominence to their currency. If the US dollar is used less on the global stage, America's economy will be the hardest hit if this happens. Right now, with all of these countries, at least, like Iraq has come out in full force exactly what's going to happen. That right there, to me, shows just one country, more or less, the US dollar flooding back to the United States. That is not a good thing. That's just one country. We have banks that they're not being talked about, but we have a lot of banks, regional banks, small town banks, that are collapsing, and no one is talking about it. That's because they don't want you to be scared and believe that there's a problem with the banking system, and then everybody goes and takes their money out of the bank. But my opinion, taking your money out might be a benefit for you. So putting in money as you need to cover your bills or whatever you're going to need for purchases, maybe online or whatever, it might be something you might want to consider. I'm not telling you to go do that, because I'm not going to make you do something that might be something that's going to piss you off if, say, you do this and then a year down the road, nothing's happened. And now you're like, well, geez, I took all my money out. I've had it here, taking the chance that someone robs me, whatever. I'm just telling you what I did. It's been on probably a couple years now. I made the decision. It took at least, I'm going to say over 2 weeks, but I'm going to say at least 2 weeks. Had to fill out a form, get most of my money out of the account. I didn't want to close it because I still want to do business, as long as they want to do business. But I wasn't going to take any chances, especially because of who the so-called president is. I have taken a hit with other things in the past, and I'm not going to take it if I have a possibility of taking something and taking control of something myself. And it's not hurting me. Having a place to store your money, a secure place. But other than that, that's the only thing I had to worry about. Because when you think about it, if something happens, the US dollar starts flooding back to America at a huge amount at one given time. That's going to have a lot of repercussions. That's just the way I see it. And that's why I did what I did. What do you think, John?
Better
You think
safe
it's
than
something to
sorry,
worry
right?
about?
Better safe than sorry.
Yeah, but I mean, some people say I'm a little. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You're jumping the gun. I don't think banks are going to collapse. I go, did you ever look back at what happened in 2008? Most people didn't even know what was going on.
Right.
I had a lot of friends they just retired. They're 10, 15 years older than me or whatever, and they're retired within maybe 2, 3 years, something like that. And they could not believe that they had to go back to work. They lost everything in the stock market. They lost their bank. What do you call it? I think they were losing. They lost something about their CDs or something like that. I wasn't really caring because it wasn't affecting me, so I didn't really listen too much, too closely. But now I wish I did.
Well, you'll be a guru. They'll be knocking at your door. Oh, Dan, what should I do now?
No, I'm not giving anybody financial. I can take your money out. I'll tell you that. You should have took your money out.
Here's a bag of crackers. Figure it out. Oh man, that's sad.
I
I'm sure
wish.
but I'm only joking around. I'm sure you would help people out in need.
Oh yeah. We have a neighborhood that we're trying to take care of now. We have a few people here that, man, it just hurts me bad because of their own families. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But luckily, we have some good churches, and there's so many people around that help out too.
That's good.
Even just to stop in and say hi, see how you're doing. That it pumps up some people, and when you're older and you feel depressed because nobody wants you, it is the worst. I can't even imagine it, but they come to their door and they're like, "Oh my God, how you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm your neighbor. I'm over here all the time. What are you talking about?"
That's good. Watching out for people. Sure is.
Yeah, they still love to, go to the store, but they don't even have a car. So just to get out, you get them one of the little hover rounds, and
that's it.
Once maybe 2-3 weeks, they might want to go, and the rest of the stuff they have delivered. But
yeah, not every town's like that, though.
No.
And if things all go to shit real quick, some of them neighborhoods are going to be really bad. People will be fleeing them. Guess where they're going to come? To the good neighborhoods.
Yeah.
So you won't be giving out cans of soup. You'll be giving out some other type of metal.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
So I have a little bit of information about the banking that I wanted to talk about. Financial flows to Russia, which are drying up as a global bank fears losing access to the U.S. dollar. The Deputy Treasury Secretary, Wally Adeyemo. I'm probably butchering that. I apologize. Says the threat of secondary sanctions is working. And I'm going to say this because I don't think it is. Any sanctions that we put on Russia, I think it's all smoke and mirrors. I don't think anything is really happening. With that individual dying under custody, and then we put 500 new sanctions, and all these different things going on. I don't think it's going to hurt Russia at all. Matter of fact, it probably will help them. Financial flows to Russia withered, or as global institutions don't want to lose the dollar's access. That has impacted countries such as Turkey, China, and United Arab Emirates. threat of secondary sanctions and financial institution that helps Russia bypass its own restrictions in providing effective. The U.S. Deputy Treasury, he states that the data cited by the Treasury shows financially flows between Russia and several countries, such as Kazakhstan, Turkey, United Arab Emirates, have meaningful decreased. Now we're sending an unmistakable message. Anyone supporting Russia's unlawful war effort is at a risk of losing access to the United States financial system.
Ooh.
The National Security Advisor then said about the order. It's just, to me, it's like it's laughable. I don't believe anything is going to happen. But, it's, I guess it is what it is, and there's nothing more you can do but see if really is going to happen.
Yep. Don't do what Russia. We'll have to cut off your custom boat and plane order.
Yeah.
Your free trip around the world. We'll have to cut that off. Horrible.
The Brics to take loans in Chinese yuan and ditch the U.S. dollar. The Brics Alliance is looking at several options to reduce dependency on the U.S. dollar and promote local currencies instead. China and Russia are flag bearers of the de-dollarization initiative and convincing that other nations to cut ties with U.S. dollar. Why would we believe that is not going to happen? I would say, if you believe that we're all good and everything's going to be fine, I would say you're wrong. But I'm just so worried about some of my friends that haven't prepared at all.
I hear that.
That a possibility like this could happen, and that we could be without very simple things that we could turn into a third world country. And I have to.
You're frozen up from my side. Uh-oh. I don't hear you, Big D. Oop. I don't know who got kicked off, him or me. Looks like we lost Big D. I don't know if I'm live or he's live. Looks like I'm live. Not sure. Let's see if we can get him back.